guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about things I wish I knew before I got a Crested Gecko. If you guys are familiar with these types of videos that I do, I basically do kind of a pros and cons list, and I tell you guys what it's like to own a Crested Gecko in my experience. I'm going to be getting Bodhi, my Crested Gecko, out in just a moment, but before I do, I want to go over some of the cons, since the con list for Crested Geckos, in my opinion, is really small. So we're going to go on and knock out the cons first, and then we are going to talk about what I think are pros for owning a Crested Gecko. They are a very, very popular reptile to keep, and we're going to go over the reasons why. I personally recommend Crested Geckos for first-time reptile owners all the time. I've had so many people ask me, what are a great starter reptile? And honestly, as far as care and things, Crested Geckos can't be beat. But of course, there are a couple of cons depending on who you are as an owner. So we're going to be discussing those as well as all the positives today. So the first con on my list is that depending on who you are, if you are not looking for a long-term commitment when it comes to an animal or a reptile, Crested Geckos can live anywhere from 15 to 20 years with proper husbandry. So if you're not looking for a long-term commitment, this may or may not be the pet for you. If you think 15 to 20 years is too long, then a Crested Gecko may not be the pet for you. However, if you think that you can do 15 to 20 years, then a Crested Gecko may be great. For me personally, 15 to 20 years isn't that big of a deal, especially since I did rescue Bodhi and I was told that he was about 7 to 10 years old already. So honestly, I could have him anywhere from 5 to 10 more years. The second con on my list for Crested Geckos is that they can be a little bit flighty and jumpy. Crested Geckos are known for their leaps and their jumps. I know sometimes I'll go to feed Bodhi or missed his tank, and as soon as I open it, he's been known to just leap out on my shirt. The majority of them are pretty docile and easy to handle, which we will talk about in a minute. However, they can be kind of jumpy, so if you're handling them, be sure to keep that in mind. The last and final con that I could think of regarding Crested Geckos is that they are nocturnal. So if you are looking for an animal that is lively during the day, that you can take out and hold a lot while it is daylight outside, a Crested Gecko may not be for you. They are more active at nighttime. I know that I can hear Bodhi running and jumping around his tank at night. However, I'm usually up pretty late because a lot of my animals are nocturnal, so I'm used to it. However, if you are not a night owl and you're not up past, say, 10 o'clock at night and you want to be able to enjoy your animal during the day, it is something to consider if you are looking into a Crested Gecko. Okay, so now we're going to get into the pros, in my opinion, of owning a Crested Gecko. Here is little Bodhi. He is about 7 to 10 years old, somewhere around in there. He is a rescue. I know you guys have seen him many times on my channel, and he's absolutely adorable. Here he is, the cutest little gator around. He is a very, very good Crested Gecko, as you can see. Bodhi is much more tame now than he was whenever I very first got him. Crested Geckos are typically pretty docile, and while they can be jumpy, as you can see, they're pretty sweet in nature. I've worked with Bodhi a ton, so he does really well with being handled and rubbed now, but he wasn't always like this. I love when I'm holding him and he's just chilling and he always has his foot like right here. Look how sassy that little foot is. I love it. You're so cute, Bodhi. Okay, so the first pro to owning a Crested Gecko is that they are really small. As you guys can see, Bodhi is really little. He is an adult male Crested Gecko. They don't get very big in size, and of course, Bodhi is missing his tail. He's still really small in size. He is the average size of a typical male, so they don't get very big, which in my opinion is a really big pro to owning one. My second pro to owning a Crested Gecko is that they don't need extremely big enclosures. An 18 by 18 by 24 Exoterra or a 20-gallon long on its side will work perfect for an adult Crested Gecko, obviously keeping them by themselves, but they don't need huge, massive tanks like 40-gallon breeders or anything like that. These guys are definitely climbers and they are arboreal, so an 18 by 18 by 24 Exoterra is what I actually keep Bodhi in, and that works great for him. So here is Bodhi's tank. This is the Exoterra I was telling you guys about. It's an 18 by 18 by 24. It's kind of foggy right now because I misted it, but this is pretty much what it looks like. It's a really nice tank and I highly recommend it. This is a really nice tank and I actually prefer it way more than the 20-gallon talls. As you can see, it holds moisture really, really well. As you can see, the droplets here, that's really good because it is a glass tank. So if you're looking for an enclosure for a Crested Gecko, I highly recommend the Exoterras that are 18 by 18 by 24s. My third pro to keeping a Crested Gecko is that, as you can see, they are not typically aggressive at all. While yes, I did talk about them being jumpy, they aren't known for being very aggressive like some other types of reptiles. I have been bit by Bodhi. As you guys know, when I very first got him, he was very aggressive because of his neglect. It was so severe. He wasn't handled for several years on end, so he definitely wasn't used to it, and the first time I ever touched him, he bit me really, really hard. But as you can see, with time and working and a lot of effort put into him and quality time, he's doing way better and he doesn't mind being held at all now. The fourth pro to owning a Crested Gecko is that their diets are actually really simple. You don't have to worry about feeding them anything live. If you want to give them a cricket or two here and there, that's not going to hurt them at all. Insects are pretty good for them. However, luckily there are lots of different foods that you can get in powder form that you can just mix up with some water that are fully balanced diets for Crested Geckos, and they even have ones with bugs already in them, so you don't have to worry about that. I choose to feed Bodhi a mixture of different Pangeas and also some Rapashi and different things. I do like to swap up his food. I find that he kind of gets bored after a little while. Here are some of the food varieties that I feed Bodhi. We have 2 Pangea here. One is with insects. I get this off of eBay. It's just easy to find on there. Pangea is actually really hard to find in stores. I've actually never seen it sold over the counter. So that's what those look like. This is the banana one, and then this is the one with insects. Bodhi absolutely loves these. Here is also a Rapashi. This is easily available at Petco's and PetSmarts, but I don't think that it has bugs in it. So that's why I like to do different ones and kind of swap them up for him. And then this is a new one that I just found. It's by Zoomed. I'm sure it's not as good as like the Pangea or the Rapashi, but it is really fruity and Bodhi really enjoys it. So I do give him this one from time to time as well. But those are just some of the foods that I feed him, and I thought that I would show them to you guys in case you were curious, or if this is your first Crested Gecko video you've ever seen. These are some really good foods for your Crested Gecko. But there are lots of different types of powder foods for geckos to choose from, so for me that's definitely a plus to owning him. His diet is pretty simple. The next pro to owning a Crested Gecko is that their day-to-day care is actually really easy. Compared to most other reptiles, and especially all of my other animals, Bodhi is one of the easiest pets to care for. Bodhi's day-to-day care is pretty simple. I make sure that he has clean food and water. About every other day I change them out. Once a day I do mist down his tank and make sure that if there's any dry urates or anything on the walls that you do wipe that down really good. And then of course doing a full clean of his tank about once a month or so, or as needed. I find that that works perfect for Bodhi. So again, day-to-day care for Crested Geckos is very manageable in my opinion. Another huge pro to Crested Geckos, if you are considering a first-time reptile or anything, is that they don't need additional heat and UVB like a lot of other reptiles. Unlike Blue and Koa, my turtle and tortoise, who need constant heat and UVB in their enclosures, Crested Geckos do great at room temps. Obviously above 70, you do not want to let them get too cold. Room temperatures work really great for these little guys. You don't really need a lot of additional heat unless you keep your house extremely cold like year round. And because they are nocturnal and they're typically hidden all day anyway, they really don't need UVB. So of course when it comes to that day-to-day care and especially initial startup costs, you don't have to worry about buying bulbs or heat pads or anything like that. So again, that's another plus to owning a Crested Gecko. The last pro on my list for Crested Geckos is that they don't smell. Now, if you're looking for an animal that's small, it doesn't smell, it doesn't need heat, UVB, things like that, a Crested Gecko is honestly a really great pet in my opinion. I know I've been asked so many times by people, what's a great first reptile? And I always say Crested Geckos. Their care day to day is just so manageable. I really enjoy having Bodhi. He's probably one of the easiest pets that I own out of all of them. And of course he's adorable. He looks like a little alligator. He's precious. And honestly, that's about it for my pros and cons on Crested Geckos. I think Crested Geckos make great first time reptile pets, or even if you've already had a lot of reptiles and you're just looking for something new that you haven't had, I think Crested Geckos make great pets, and he's absolutely adorable. I mean, look at him. Obviously, you get out of your pets what you put in. I've handled Bodhi a lot, so as you can see, he's really chill. He doesn't mind being held. He's not aggressive anymore, anything like that. So that's definitely something to remember if you are wanting a Crested Gecko that you can hold and that doesn't mind chilling with you on the couch or anything. Bodhi is great for that. He's really calm, he's really chill, and I really adore him. So yeah, that is pretty much it for my pros and cons on Crested Geckos. If you are looking for a Crested Gecko, I hope this video helped you out and answered some of your questions. All in all, I think there are very few cons to owning Crested Geckos. So yeah, I hope this video helped you out and I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you do not already follow me on Instagram or Snapchat, I will put that on the screen for you. Bodhi, thank you for being such a good guest. You're a good boy. You a good little gator. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Be kind. Bye.